Hello everyone. So today we are now going to look at managing our citations using Zotero. In the last lecture we looked at managing our citations using the citations and bibliography group within the reference tab in Word. So we first need to download and install Zotero to our PCs. So you can download it from the Zotero website here, or simply go to Moodle under 132. You should find Zotero software under the course material section. So I have Zotero installed, or rather downloaded, on my PC. So you just double click the installation file to install it and then allow permissions. So it will ask for access control. You simply say yes. At this window, simply click next, and we are using the standard installation setup, and you click next and then install. So you just give it a moment, and then once Zotero is done, you simply ensure that this checkbox is ticked and then click finish. So Zotero will then initiate a new web page asking you to install the connector for your browser. You simply click install and then select add the extension to Chrome. If you're using Firefox, it will say Firefox, and then you simply add the extension. So once that's done, you should be able to see this pop up to verify that Zotero has actually been stored to your browser. So you simply close that and close the window, and you are done. So now going to our installation, we have Zotero opening up. So you notice that Zotero has three main columns or panels, moving from general things right at the left to more specific information. So the left column simply displays your libraries and various columns and sub-collections that you're going to create, along with tags. And then the center column displays the references in a specific collection that you've highlighted. In this case, I am in the library collection. So this is what will be displayed there. And then we have the final column to your left, which shows specific details about the reference that you're going to select in the center, as well as any additional information and attachments that are included in that reference. So now, going back to Word, I have an assignment which we are now going to format and add some citations using Zotero. So the assignment that we are looking at is BCS 142, which is Media Studies. So the assignment reads, briefly discuss the concept of media convergence. How has it affected mass communication? What are its advantages and disadvantages? And we've been given the specifications for how long the assignment will be. It's supposed to be 3 pages. The font type is Times New Roman at size 12 with a spacing of 1.5, and submission format is in PDF. So I have an example of an assignment that was written by students, but we are mainly focusing on references. So I simply copied and pasted it with the references that were used, but we are now going to add these references using Zotero. So we're going to start with our first one, which is this one highlighted in green. So when you're adding a reference, it has specific information that it needs to include, just like we saw when we were using the insert citation and add new source. So we first needed to specify which source it was. Depending on the source, we were adding the author, the title, the year, the city, publisher, and edition, depending on the source type given. So if we go down, the reference that we're looking at is this one. So in order to get the full scope of all the information that's relevant to this reference, remember, which is being added right here at the top, we are going to use Google Scholar to figure out what additional information that we can pick up from. So as I've simply copied and pasted that into Google Scholar, we have major convergence as the first search result, and it's a book. So I can simply click these two speech marks, which allows me to see the citation information, and it also shows me the different formats in which that citation will show up. So what I can simply do is now divide my screen into half and then open Zotero so that I can see this information. So to add this reference in Zotero, I can do it using two methods. So I can simply use the plus sign there and then add the kind of reference which we're adding. In this case is a book, but I have a list of more options that are available. So since this is a book, I'll simply type or select book and then start typing out the information one by one. So this is media convergence. The author is, we start with the last name and then the first name. We have T. We don't have an abstract, we don't have the series or the series number, the volume. What we have though is the publisher. So we have McGraw-Hill Education. As a publisher, we have the date, which is 2010. We don't have an ISBN number, but we have a country, but we don't know which country. You can put the UK. So you figure out and enter as much information as you can from here. So once you're done, you should be able to see that new citation added to the center here, and it should be included within your libraries. So remember, we have the left panel, which basically shows your libraries and collections. We have the center, which shows what is inside that specific collection, and then the right, which shows detailed information for that reference. So we are now going to go back in Word, and the moment you install Zotero, you should be able to see a Zotero tab popping up, and then we are now going to add this reference using Zotero. So you simply go to the Zotero tab in Word and then click the Add Edit Citation, and then it will give you a Q-tip. So we know the author, title, or any information about that reference that we want to use. So once you have it selected, you click Enter on your keyboard, and that reference is then added. And I know that it is added because when I click over it, it's slightly shaded this gray color. So I can delete this placeholder, which was originally entered for me. So there we go, you've added your first reference. So we move on to our next reference, which is Jenkins 2001. So I'll simply go down to the bottom and then go back and copy this reference to Google Scholar so that I can get the relevant information. So we have it here. So I can simply click the side button and it will give me the information relevant, but Zotero also allows us to copy our references automatically by using specific notation known as bib text. So once you click that button, so I'll go back again, you click the citation button, and then the references show up using the different formats, but when I click bib text, it is then converted to the relevant format. I can simply highlight all of that, right click, copy that, and then simply go back to Zotero, and then within Zotero I will click File and then Import from Clipboard, The moment I say import from clipboard, the new reference is then added automatically for me with all the relevant information as well, without having to type it out one at a time. So far, I've only shown the creator name. I can add more tabs that I want to see, such as the date and maybe the year. Actually, the year is more relevant. I can remove the date and leave the year, and maybe the publisher if I wanted to know or arrange my citations according to publisher, like that. So now that we have it within Zotero, I can now add it to our Word document. So I simply scroll up and then move to the location where I'm supposed to add my citation. Click Zotero tab, add citation, add edit citation, and then type in the author name and then click enter, and we have our citation added. So that's how you would add your citations. I've also noticed that looking through the assignment that most of the paragraphs don't have citations unless this entire section was coming from this one. But it's a good idea to separate information as much as possible and then add more citations. So for instance, probably this was also from the same author. I would simply add the same citation there as well, and then enter. The citation is then added, including this part there. So the process would be the same. So if I was to add this citation as well, I would go back down, copy that list, and then search for it within Google Scholar. And this is our reference. Usually it's the first one. Click bib text so that I get the correct format, copy it, and then go back to Zotero and then import from clipboard. And then we have our reference added. So I can then go back to Word and then add that reference wherever it is included. Select it, and there we go. And that's how quickly you come up with citations that are of book format. So you'd simply go through the entire process for all these four. But I also noticed that there were web addresses as citations. Now the correct way to add web address citations using Zotero is easy, especially if you have the web browser plugged in. And according to this, it seems this web address does not exist. So let's try another one. Let's hope this one will allow us to check. Currently not working, so let's see if I just copy it, if this web address actually exists. So it should be down. Not going through, so it must be down. But I quickly wanted to address one thing. So let's say I googled this as my query into Google Scholar. Remember, you always use Google Scholar and not the general Google when you're getting references and citations, because this is verified information that has been checked by other academicians. So let's say I wanted to use this reference. Actually, let's look at the third one, which is more of a paper reference. So whenever I click the cite button and use bib text to get the relevant information, so this is now an article. I would want to show you how this differs within Zotero and say import from clipboard. We then have it as paper, and you can see all the relevant information given there. Additionally, you could have easily gone to the website itself, which had the paper, and then right at the corner in your browser, you should have been able to find the Zotero extension available, and then it would ask you which location you would want to store your reference. In this case, just my library, and then done. And it should have added that to your Zotero library. So we have 2, but it failed to pick up all the relevant information. So depending on, let's see, right there. So depending on which method you use, I prefer using the Google Scholar and BibTeX format. You are able to import certain information, but not everything as well. So be cautious which one you use. So you would go through this entire process as many times as you have the references. In this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 types of references. And once you are done editing, you can now generate your bibliography. So once you are done, you can click the add and edit bibliography, and depending on the settings that you had set, your bibliography is then added. So under document preferences is where you decide which citation style you want to use. So currently the citation style picked is Harvard, which we use at the university, but you can simply change to any other citation style, and it also automatically updates how the references show up at the end and within the text as well. So in this case, it changed to numbers because that's the referencing style that I have picked, and that's numbers as well. And we have number 2. If I change this back to, let's say, IEEE, you notice that the brackets change from the curved to the box brackets depending on the referencing style. And then if I chose APA edition 6, that changes the relevant citations. So you can quickly go through this and try it out yourself, and even the references at the bottom will also change likewise. So now let's say you would want to create sub collections for specific assignments and your entire document as well. You can easily do that by clicking the box, the file button, and then adding a name of a collection. So let's say we were doing references for ICT132. You'd simply create a folder, and then the new citations that will be added, if it is selected, will then be added to 132. So let's say now I search for Microsoft Word because I'm working on a Microsoft Word assignment, and then I decide that I would use this one as a citation. So I'd simply select that, choose the bib text format because that's what Zotero can accept, click it or highlight and then click, go back to Zotero, ensure that ICT132 is the folder that I want to append my references to, go to file and then say import from clipboard. So now within this sub collection, I'll only be able to see citations for 132. I can add another collection and say SSE 122, and then say search for something that's related to macroeconomics within Google Scholar. Macroeconomics. macroeconomics advantages maybe. So this time I want something recent, which is 2013. I could even change the query to say since 2016, so only publications from 2016 going up will show up. And then click that one, select bib text, and then highlight everything, right click, copy, go back to Zotero, ensure that we have the macroeconomics folder selected, go to file, and then say import, and then we have our reference added. So when I click ICT132, I only have ICT132 related references, but when I look at my entire library, it will be able to show me each and every citation that I have ever included to Zotero. So this is how you would use it, and also section out your references so that things aren't confusing, and in case your list becomes very, very long, it becomes tricky to manage. I would also urge each and every one of you to create an account on Zotero so that you have your references backed up to the cloud. So I can easily show you that I have 399 items within Zotero that I've ever used, and these are the collections I've created. But right now it hasn't synced up with the one that I have on my desktop. So I can simply do that by going down to edit and then preferences, and then within the preferences tab I choose sync, and then enter my details so that I can sync my online account with the desktop version, and then set up sync. It will check if my credentials are correct, and then I would say okay. So right now, even though it has been synced, I can't see my items pop up yet because I need to refresh it. So once I click the refresh button to the far right, I will see that my collections start getting populated, and eventually this number should also increase as my references are being added. So you need to ensure that you have internet connection when you're doing this. So my references are slowly being added. So most of them should have been added by now. So I can also delete this if I don't want it by simply highlighting it and clicking the delete button. That should get rid of it. So it's still turning and adding more citations as they come, but essentially these are all the citations I've ever used, and the list keeps being appended until all 399 are included. When I refresh this, I should also see the 6 or 7 that I added to this as well. So I can simply log in with my username and password. Say remember me and log into Zotero. So the advantage of using Zotero over the in-text citation manager in Word is that you have all your references at your disposal at all times, even if someone steals your PC or your PC crashes. As long as you always link up and sync your library often, you always have all your references there. So the moment you have your references, you can then now start adding them to your assignments. So that's how you quickly use Zotero to add and manage your citations. It's the same thing with Word, except it doesn't rely on the fact that you have Word installed on your PC or not. So this is Zotero. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or simply post them to the announcements forum on Moodle under the course section. Thank you.